support presentation for the Year 11 GCSE History Revision Memo. Students will have just completed their mock exams for their GCSE History, and the purpose of this activity is to get them to reflect not only on the grade that they received, but the process that they went through both in school and at home, which led to them getting the result they got. We want students to be very, very quick in getting over what the grade actually was. If it's good, we must understand how they achieved that grade. If it's not to their satisfaction, we have to understand the process that they went through. It's not uncommon for students to do an awful lot of work and still fail. It's not uncommon for students to do very little work and get lucky. So we have to understand and identify what works so mistakes made this time round aren't repeated in the June exam series, and the preparation that goes on from the Easter holidays is purposeful and focused on what works. The memo that the students are going to work through are a series of questions that gets them to reflect over not only their practice prior to the exam and their build-up and preparation, but the exam itself. And in doing this, they will work through a series of questions reflecting on what they have done, which will allow them to write a very brief and succinct memo to themselves at the end of this process. The idea being that come Easter, when everyone is telling them how important their exams are going to be and how important the next few months are, is that they're more likely to listen to their own advice rather than the teachers constantly telling them and pushing them to work harder and harder. Now, this activity can be done in several ways. This can be printed off from the website that you are on now. Alternatively, a paper copy could be printed off. It really doesn't matter how it's done, provided that the students work through the tasks and the questions that they are posed with as they work through this. At the end of this activity, we would like the memo to be printed off, passed to their teacher, and the teacher will hold on to this document until the Easter holidays. At that point, the document will be handed back, the student can read their own advice and their own guidance to themselves, and we as the teachers will pass the students all their booklets and prior exam papers that they've done and homeworks and so on and so forth, so they have a complete set of work and notes to revise from. As we move down then, first thing that we need the students to be aware of is the grade that the target of the teacher actually set for the student. It's very important all the way through that the teachers and the students are constantly working towards this goal. It's not uncommon, however, for students, however, not to want to work to that level. Now that poses a problem for us as teachers, especially as students who are willing to accept a lower grade are obviously going to be more likely to actually achieve that grade. Our job as teachers is to push the students as hard as possible to achieve the grade that is their target. Unfortunately, when students accept and are willing to accept a lower grade, that's probably what they're most likely to get. Moving on, students are to work through the questions that get them to contemplate and think about their organisation. Did they know when the exams fell? Did they plan to work in an organised way prior to their exams? Did they have a complete set of notes to revise from? Or when they sat down to revise, did they find that they only had occasional notes with big gaps of knowledge? We will provide students with the opportunity to get additional booklets and materials. Do they take advantage of that? Did they start revising early enough? Did they manage to cope? One can never tell if the mocks and the final exams are as generous with the planning of when the exams fall. If students struggle to plan their way through their mocks, it could be even harder to plan your way through your final exams. Did students take advantage of all the materials that are available? In the history department, we provide a DVD. We also recommend an approved textbook from the exam board. Did the students bother to reflect on what they knew they would find harder and what they knew they would find easier? It's all too commonplace to find that students are more than willing to revise what they already know and subconsciously avoid revising the materials that they know are harder. When students go into the exam technique comes into play. Did the students take advantage of the reading time? Did they read the whole paper all the way through? Did they recognise the either and or sections of the paper, or did they end up answering all the questions? Students are encouraged to read a question twice. Once read through, read through it again to make sure you understand the task that's being asked of you. It's all too commonplace for students to see the topic of the question and write a narrative story of everything that they know. The skill in history is to realise that the exam board expect that you already know everything that there is to know about the particular topic, and they now want you to use your knowledge in a selective way to answer the question that's specifically asked of you. Do students highlight the key words in the question? And when you've highlighted the key words, are those key words used in your answers? It's fair to assume that if you're using the key words of the question in your answer, you're answering the question. At the end of each paragraph, are students actually answering the question, or have they drifted away from what they're meaning to write about? Since Year 7, students in history are taught how to use the PEA model, making sure that each paragraph comes with a point, backed up by evidence, and backed up by analysis which clearly answers the question. Is this apparent in the answers that they have written in their exam paper? Did students get their timing right? Or did they overextend themselves on the early questions, maybe getting all the points, but failing to provide themselves with enough time to complete the paper? Again, is timing correct all the way through, ensuring you have enough time to complete the extended answers at the back? Do students think about writing notes before they start answering their paper? Do students think about organising their knowledge? So what they're writing about isn't just a stream of narrative facts, but an organised and deployed set of relevant information to the question that's being asked. If students finish early, do they go back and check their answers? All of these relate to the exam technique. All too often, students, capable students, behave in an irrational and panicky way in exams and do not fulfill their potential. Remember, the exam is only testing you on what you should know. It should be an opportunity to show how clever you are, but it becomes a problem if you go in there expecting to fail or panicking. The next section is to deal with study skills. How do you prepare at home? Are students provided with the opportunity to revise quietly? Do students and parents work in a cooperative way in the build-up to the exam? Are parents aware of what it is that you're doing and when you're doing it? Did you take the mock exam seriously enough? Did you interact with your teacher? Did you practice past exam questions? In this modern age, were you able to revise without distraction? I wonder, how long did you find you could effectively revise for? I don't mean about spending 2 hours in a room. Out of those 2 hours, how much time were you actually learning? Did you access the materials that the school have on the network, if you didn't already have them, and take them home with you? Did you get a good night's sleep before the exam? Once you've gone through all of these prompts, you now have the opportunity to concisely write that up in as little or as much detail as possible. It's not for me to say how much advice you need to give yourself. Some people can be very succinct. Some people can understand their strengths and their weaknesses straight away. Others of you may need to write more developed answers in order to clarify and give yourself very clear instructions for when you use this memo to revise again at Easter. I want you to fill out this document from you to you to tell yourself exactly what it is that you need to do when it comes to your Easter exams. Please be aware that at any point between now and the final exams, you can use your teachers to help plug any gaps in your knowledge or technique that you need to help to pass this exam. Half of what comes from your GCSE is given you by the teacher. The other half, however, is the learning that you undertake. The memo is a wonderful opportunity for you to learn about how you learn. And it might just be that come Easter, you are the only person that you will listen to. I hope this memo is of help.